Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Leader Scalise, and this great team. Thanks to Gabe Evans for his leadership and helping out this week and taking care of business in Colorado. It's really an interesting time in America and in American politics. Republicans are governing well, and we are delivering on our promises, and we are bringing solutions, and we're working around the clock every day to make sure that that is delivered for the people as we promised them last year on the campaign trail. Meanwhile, Democrats are engaging in the applause of destruction of cities and all sorts of chaos. The contrast is so clear, and everybody can see it. And we had all the Republicans gathered together for our weekly meeting here just in the last hour, and we showed them poll after poll after poll that confirms what we all know intuitively. The American people see who is doing the job, and they are losing their tolerance for the nonsense by the Democratic Party. And you can't make this stuff up. We talked a lot this morning about what's happening in Los Angeles because it is such a great exhibit to show what is happening. A picture's worth 10,000 words, of course. You know, while the rioters have been burning police cars and looting storefronts and physically assaulting law enforcement officers, it's important to remember how we got to this point, to this level of chaos, because this didn't happen overnight. 4 quick points to make us all remember. You know, we're in a busy news cycle, and people sometimes forget the facts, but the Biden administration welcomed maybe as many as 20 million illegal aliens across that border and into our country in a 4-year period. Sanctuary states like California rolled out the welcome mat. They embraced it. They offered aliens protection from federal law enforcement. Think of it. They're on the wrong side of the law. And they provided them with health care and housing and taxpayer-funded benefits. It's truly almost unbelievable, incredible what these Democrat leaders of these cities and states have done. President Trump delivered on an ironclad mandate from the American people. And just as we said throughout the entire Biden administration disaster, the law always allowed the president to stop it, and President Trump did it with bold visionary leadership. He stopped the invasion of our country, and he engaged in the largest mass deportation effort in U.S. history. We're in the midst of that right now. Rioters, acting on the words of politicians like AOC and Hakeem Jeffries, are trying to stop this effort by burning storefronts and endangering the lives of patriotic law enforcement officers. The contrast could not be any more clear. Time and time again, innocent, hardworking Americans have been harmed by the failed leadership of Democrat governors like Gavin Newsom. President Trump was absolutely right to send in the National Guard and to clean up for the governor's failures. You know, Gavin Newsom's been in this effort for the last several months to try to reinvent himself, to rebrand himself, okay? It's pretty difficult to do when your state is a safe haven to violent, criminal, illegal aliens, and you're the one at the helm. You can't hide this stuff. The President of the United States has a responsibility to maintain law and order, particularly when the lives and livelihoods of federal law enforcement officers are threatened. What we're doing there with the federal forces is we are protecting federal buildings and property and personnel, and the President is showing strong leadership in doing so. Because, you know, it's those men and women, the federal law enforcement officers, who deserve our support right now. And the One Big Beautiful Bill, by the way, as Leader Scalise noted, delivers much-needed reinforcements. In this bill, we have funding to hire a minimum of 10,000 new ICE agents. We're going to provide a $10,000 bonus to Border Patrol and ICE agents on the front lines. We're going to include $45 billion to expand ICE detention capacity and $14.4 billion for air and ground transport to carry out at least 1 million deportations every single year. We'll have to do that for quite some time because they let so many people in. We're starting with the dangerous illegal aliens, and that is exactly who the rioters and the politicians in California are trying to protect, and it's incredible. While Republicans are supporting the men and women of ICE through the One Big Beautiful Bill, Democrats are fighting for those illegal aliens and against law enforcement agents. They're defending the violent anti-ICE protesters in LA. They visited a violent MS-13 gang member and human trafficker in El Salvador. They charged an ICE facility and clashed with ICE officers. That was members of the House of Representatives doing that. They're advocating for people to dox ICE agents and making them targets for threats from radicals. And they're calling for the elimination of ICE. Don't forget what ICE stands for. People get caught up in the acronyms or lost in the acronyms. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, okay? It is to enforce federal law. It is to enforce a secure border. And the Democrats want to defund that. Just let that settle on you a bit. They're even trying to hide it, and they're not even trying to hide it, okay? They're openly advocating for illegals instead of American citizens. I don't know. We could talk about this all morning, and we have. Let me move on. With regard to the business in the House this week, the House will vote to approve the White House's request to claw back $9.4 billion in wasteful spending. $8.3 billion of that is wasteful foreign aid with all the atrocities that DOGE uncovered in USAID, and $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. That's PBS, NPR. These are common sense cuts, and I think every member of this body should support it. It's a critical step in restoring fiscal sanity and beginning to turn the tides of removing fraud, waste, and abuse from our government. Have you checked the public opinion polls? That's what the American people want, and they demand and deserve, and we're going to do it. I read some of the greatest hits last week out of this, but I just want to list a few more examples, okay? Last week he gave you some of the real high level, high number amounts, but these are lower dollars, but they matter. Listen to this, $33,000 we're going to cut. That was being used for, quote, being LGBT in the Caribbean. No kidding. American taxpayers are funding that. $8,000 for promoting vegan food in Zambia. $67,000 for feeding insect powder to kids in Madagascar. You'll notice these aren't particularly expensive examples of wasteful spending, but compared to these other massive categories of government bloat. But I list those because it's an illustration here. Every dollar matters. We are serious about this. The Republican Party is doing everything we can to be careful stewards of the precious treasure of the people. And the Democrats want to waste it and send it to their NGO pet projects and just all this crazy stuff. We're not going to fund our transgender operas in Peru anymore. Once we found that out, we had a responsibility to go stop it, and we will. This rescission package is a critical step, and it's one of many. There'll be several of these that will come from the White House. We'll work together with the administration to cut out all the fraud, waste, and abuse. We're fighting a multi-front war against the deficit. Don't get lost in this, okay? This is a multi-step process. I've tried to explain on all the interviews I've done over the last couple of weeks. The One Big Beautiful Bill is going to reduce spending by over $1.6 trillion, as has been noted this morning. The rescission package will rescind $9.4 billion in wasteful spending, the first of many of those. The annual appropriations process will allow Republicans to further codify DOGE cuts and spend less money and be careful stewards of each dime. And the revenues found from the president's tariff agenda will also reduce the deficit by $2.8 trillion over 10 years. This is real money, and we're going to turn that aircraft carrier. You don't turn it on a dime, you've all heard me say. You can't make deficits and debt disappear overnight, but we're at it. And we're going to continue this step-by-step process to get our fiscal house in order and do right by the taxpayers. We're chipping away at it every day, and the rescissions vote on Thursday is an important signal. House Republicans are serious about getting our fiscal house in order, and we'll do that.